It's not that I don't think that people who like that feature should have it. Like anything else in a car that's been automated properly has also had a manual override, right? Like think about automatic headlights or automatic high beams. You have off, auto, on.
True.
Or the high beams, you can activate that, deactivate. Automatic rain sensing wipers, you still have a manual option. Automatic transmissions, you can still control the gears yourself, through some other process. Cruise control or radar cruise control.
Or regular.
Or you fucking the pedals. You can still drive yourself. Nothing that's ever been automated has ever had the manual control really fully taken away from you.
Yeah.
And so now this thing, which is a fundamental control. What's up, everybody? Welcome to the Smoking Tire Podcast. Today's episode is brought to you by Off the Record. We love Off the Record, and you should love Off the Record. Why should you love Off the Record? Because they're there to help. They're there to help you. They're there to help you stay out of trouble. They're there to help you exit the system whereby the government and insurance companies extract money from you, citizen, just for going a little fast. You don't want to deal with that. Never, ever, ever plead guilty to a moving violation. That is the easiest money that you will ever feed into a system unnecessarily. Instead, you could just use Off the Record. They are an amazing service that helps you get those points from a moving violation off of your record. They do that by fighting those tickets on your behalf. You don't even have to really do anything beyond inform them that you got a ticket in the first place. You just go to offtherecord.com/TST or download the Off the Record app and use code TST10. And then you have those accounts made, right? And then if you get a ticket, you just take a photo of that ticket or scan that ticket, send it to Off the Record. They take care of the rest. They will pair you up with a qualified attorney in the jurisdiction where you got the ticket, and they'll fight that ticket for you. You don't have to go to court. They'll go to court for you. You don't have to meet with the prosecutor. They'll meet with the prosecutor for you. They'll deal with it. And then in almost every instance, and I mean the vast, vast majority of instances, they will get those points off of your record, and you don't have to do anything. You didn't even know it happened. It's just poof, donezo. In fact, if they can't get the points off your record, they're so confident that they can, that if they can't, it's a money-back guarantee. But you want to have your account ready. That way, if you get pulled over, you don't panic. You're not, what am I going to do? I can't afford this. Freak out, anxiety attack. You have Off the Record in your back pocket. You got the app on your phone. You got the account on the computer. Offtherecord.com/TST or code TST10 on the app will save you 10% off all legal services that you book through Off the Record. Great folks, kind folks, and I get emails all the time from folks who have used them, and they're like, oh my God, this actually did work as well as you said it did. It's amazing. Off the Record is the jam, and we love them. Code TST10 on the app, people. Alrighty then. Today's show, it's a cruise show. Lots going on. We drove some cars. I complain about things such as the going away of the start button. We have a bunch of amazing questions from our guests, and we catch up with each other because it hasn't been a cruise show in some time, but we love spending time with each other. Plus, we talk about why making videos and podcasts can be so frustrating when the things that interest us the most are anti-algorithm. It kind of stinks that way. Me and Zach are on a cruise show. It's the Smoking Tire Podcast. But still, all through high school, you couldn't play. You could, I think you could, you could get credit for music by taking private guitar lessons or drum lessons at home if you got a note.
So just get your dealer to sign off that he teaches guitar.
Yeah, pretty much. Yeah.
Right.
Yeah, but my saxophone got stolen.
He just writes, notice we shredded. Your sax got stolen?
My saxophone got stolen from the hallway of school.
Of your school?
Yeah. And which was weird because like you pretty much had to leave it in the hallway. Like when you couldn't it wouldn't fit in our lockers. I didn't have a car. You know, like you couldn't leave them all in the band room. So like everyone's like instrument cases were just like in the hall.
Did everyone's get stolen?
No,
that
would have been
a thing.
That would be an amazing episode of The Sopranos.
That's Ocean's 1.
If fucking Chrissy raided a Jewy ass private school in North Caldwell.
That's the prequel for Ocean's 11.
Stole all the saxophones. But yeah, my saxophone got stolen. I never played saxophone again.
Now, why do you think someone stole it? Personal attack or to flip it?
I didn't really like the saxophone so much, and I might have arranged something. No, I don't.
Really?
No.
Hey,
no,
I don't know.
I didn't
Crafty.
like saxophone that much, but I certainly didn't want it to get stolen.
Okay.
My mother made me incredibly aware of how expensive a saxophone was when they bought it for me. I don't remember how much it was,
the
but
school requires this. She's
it was enough that I
know.
still remember it being a lot.
Like, Mom, you should bitch at the school. This is not my idea.
Right? Yeah.
I don't want to change reeds.
And it was a
care.
tenor saxophone. It wasn't even an alto saxophone.
Is it?
There's 4 kinds of saxophones: soprano, alto, tenor, and baritone.
Right.
And they get progressively bigger. Kenny G, the one that looks like a clarinet, the straight one, that's a soprano saxophone.
Tenor's the normal one.
A tenor is the one that goes up and then down. That's a tenor. So you see how at the mouthpiece
this
it goes.
is what I would refer to.
It goes
as
up
a
and then down.
Common standard saxophone.
Right, right.
We had to take at jazz band too.
Yeah. Up then down, right? And then, but an alto saxophone comes straight out of the mouth and down. It's smaller. So an alto saxophone, you can't really see in that photo, but an alto saxophone vertically is probably 8 inches shorter than a tenor.
Maybe this is the more common one.
Yeah, most like kids play alto saxophones. Okay. And then you have the baritone saxophone, which does a fucking loop-de-loop at the top like Action Park.
Like, that's how they designed it.
It's got the fucking loop-de-loop on it. And that's like, if you want to make, baritone saxophone makes the coolest sound of probably any woodwind. It's lower, but it's got the pop of a saxophone as opposed to like a trumpet or a tuba.
Right.
Where a tuba's like listening to like a bass tube. This has the like.
You can short the notes can be short.
Yeah. You could staccato it a bit.
I think that's the instrument they use for the whole 9 yards for like the theme song, which you kind of hear in your head right now. I bet.
Yeah. Basically. So anyway, my tenor saxophone got stolen, and I never picked up a saxophone again. But this was like 3 years before Dave Matthews Band became cool. And before Dave Matthews Band became cool, and before ska became cool, like it wasn't fucking cool.
Totally.
Like if I grew up a few years later and I was into Dave Matthews and Real Big Fish, like I was, playing saxophone would have been awesome. There's a future in it.
We were required to play string instruments for a little while at Waldorf, and I was like, violin, this is for pussies. I'm listening to Guns N' Roses, blah, blah, blah.
Yeah.
And then, to your point, 6 years later, I was like, that guy on stage with Dave Matthews is playing the violin.
And he rules.
No one told me any of this. Yeah,
it was not a thing. So I don't know how we got down that road, but then I taught myself guitar when I got grounded for getting a tattoo. Got a 4th grade level teach yourself guitar book, and I taught myself how to play guitar.
I thought you were going to say you got a 4th grade level tattoo.
Also true.
Really?
Yes. Oh, yeah. My first tattoo, the one that's here, is fucking horrid.
I forget that one exists.
It's an ankh.
It's on his thigh.
It's on my thigh.
Yeah.
It's terrible. I mean, it's meaningful, but the quality of the tattoo is so bad. It's an ankh with A-N-K-H, not U-N-K.
Bro, I don't know what this is.
Ankh, isn't that like a southern rapper?
I mean, yes to everything.
The ankh is the cross with the loop over it.
Oh, what does this mean?
It's
Key of life in
it's
Egyptian?
an ancient Egyptian thing, and I used to, when I was younger, wear a necklace that had it, and that eventually I lost it or whatever. So my first tattoo is one of those, and the cross part, the horizontal part of the bar, is written the name of my sailboat from when I was a kid. The little boat I got for my bar mitzvah.
It's called the clitoris.
I named it, and I don't want to say what the name of the boat was because I use that as a password for a bunch of things. Because you'll never guess it because it's literally an Aboriginal.
Someone is Googling.
It's an Aboriginal word. You'll
never
fucking figure it out. It's literally Aboriginal, and so it looks almost nonsensical, but. That being said, I was 16 and went to get this tattoo, and the guy fucking freehanded it. like in the Village in New York City, and he went to write the word out across, and you'll never fucking believe what happened.
Not enough space.
No, too much. He finished the word too early and left a gap.
Ooh.
Yeah. So what did he do? He put a little star,
mark?
it looks like an asterisk. He put a fucking asterisk next to it. It's not good. But then it was done. Then it was there, and it's like, well, what am I gonna do about this
16,
now?
like, get out of here.
Yeah, leave.
I just gave you an illegal tattoo.
Yeah. Yeah.
That's who's gonna do that. You know, a real artist like start in the middle, space it. They do a stencil. This guy's like, I got it.
No, I got this. Like, no problem.
Yeah, that's a good story.
Asterisk. That's like our sign from the old office with the smoking tire in quotes.
Yeah.
like
right?
Allegedly, this is a thing.
Yeah.
I can't prove it.
We had an old shirt that haunts me and actually helps me with typos, but I am quite certain that they did capital S, capital M by accident, and then OKING was lowercase. And
a smoking tire shirt?
Yeah, but like from 12 years ago.
Really?
Yeah.
Oh, I don't remember.
Because I remember looking at all the letters and going, they're all lowercase, but not this one.
Oh, that's weird.
And frequently I'll just, I type shift whatever.
Yeah.
And I'll hold it half a second too long and the second letter's
Yeah,
capitalized.
that's a regular
Like,
mistake.
that's how that happens.
We sold that shirt?
For sure.
Really? I don't remember
there
that.
There are bongs on every table.
Oh, that's really funny.
It's not surprising.
Oh, if anyone out there has one of those error shirts, please send us a picture of it because that's hilarious. I believe you. I'm sure it exists. But anyway, that's my error tattoo / band / guitar story. But I got grounded for getting that tattoo. And that's when I taught myself to play guitar because I was grounded for my fucking half of my senior year of high school. I got into college early though, so I ditched school.
Oh, okay.
Me and Larry Casilla of Ammo we both got to college early. We went to high school together. If I haven't made that very very
clear. Do you
clear.
mean you attended college early, or you just were admitted?
We got in early admission.
Got it.
You can if you want to. That's like a thing that happens, right? I'm sure everyone is familiar with this process. But I got grounded. And he didn't really give a fuck because once he got in, he got into West Point. So it was like, he ended up not staying there and going to UVA, but like whatever, at that point, he was in West Point. So like whatever happened for the rest of the year was like totally irrelevant to him. He was like, I'm going to the Army.
Yeah,
which,
they're not going to kick me out of this.
Yeah. And I was grounded. So I was like, well, I'm never going to be free. But so we ditched school and we would play golf. That's the whitest thing ever. To cut school and play golf is like the whitest shit you could do. But still, we did it. And anyway, after school, I went home, sat in my basement with a fucking garbage guitar, and I practiced playing chords.
It's a pretty good use of time, though.
It was a good use of time. Then I got to college, and I was like, I have a tattoo, and I can play guitar. Let's fucking go.
Yeah, all the boys to the yard. And then the girls, really.
Yeah.
Yeah, you were that guy with the dorm room up and just playing guitar. And
that guy lived up the hall from me.
The dude who just...
The guy who had the voice exactly like Dave Matthews and the fucking guitar skill, and that guy, I mean, he was a nice guy, but I hated him.
Right, of course.
Because he was that guy. Yeah. And then I met my friend Adam Kay, who was a much chiller guy who is now a doctor, and he didn't have the voice, but he was a guitar virtuoso. And he sat down with me when I bought my own nice guitar, finally. He goes, hey, can I try that? And I checked it out, and he played Led Zeppelin 3, the album. Just fucking right there, note for note, the whole album.
Whoa.
Yeah. He then later did 1, 2, and 4.
He's very good.
Yeah, he was a virtuoso.
Okay.
We later were in a band together, and this dude fucking wailed.
Yeah.
Yeah. For a Jewish doctor, someone who would become a Jewish doctor from Connecticut, wailed.
That's amazing.
Yeah.
That's very cool.
Random story. Welcome to the program. Late. Better late than never. A bunch of things are going on. The most important of which is I got my insurance policy for Gardena. So it's now, I can actually store cars there legally, which was making me sweat for about a month.
When do I burn it down is that later?
You stole my saxophone, didn't you? So Gardena will be officially open the month of June, which is great. If anyone is in LA and needs somewhere incredibly secure, safe, and now fully insured to keep their shit, WCCS.com is where you do it. June is going to be a complete shit show. Starting at the end of June, if all things go to plan, I'm going to Europe 3 times in 4 weeks, separately, 3 separate times in 4 weeks. Monaco, England, and then Germany.
And then England again in July.
No, it's the first trip to Europe is the end of June, and then July, first week or second week in July, and then the third week in July. It's fucking crazy. I don't know what's wrong with us.
That's gonna be fun.
If the England thing, that would be for Goodwood Festival of Speed. If that happens and we get to do shows live at Goodwood, that would be pretty awesome.
Yeah, it'd be really cool.
Not confirmed yet, but I would say highly likely. Highly likely that'll go.
The idea came to us. They seemed excited.
Yeah.
We're excited about it.
Yeah.
For the people that are listening. So that'll be really rad.
I thought last week's show with Mike Spagnola from SEMA was really interesting. I realized that in an on-demand bit of content, a lot of people are not going to click on that guy because he's an old white guy you've probably never heard of. But in terms of like why car culture and the aftermarket and everything like is the way it is, that's a very important show to listen to. And I got a lot of comments about it. Some were good, some were not good. But I thought that discussion was very interesting.
I thought it was really important, like me as a fan of modified cars. I think it's just, I find it enriching to understand why the whole market is the way it is. Like why parts can and can't exist. Because so many times, like when I was in my 20s, you'd see like someone can't sell an intake. You'd be like, why? Da-da-da. It's like, now you know why.
Yeah.
And like no joke, not just trying to like pump the episode. I didn't know the SEMA garage existed until we did that show. Like they actually have facilities to help companies build and test their products so that they can be approved by the government. So like if you're out there going like, how do I do this? I have an idea for an intake or we're trying to develop this thing. Like they'll do it for you for free.
It wasn't, it seemed like it was pretty affordable to use them as well if you're a member of
SEMA. So they don't make any money doing that. So it's pretty cool. Yeah,
and I think that it's not, it's unfortunate that, you know, it seems like the bureaucracy is could be put to better use. You know, like I know like it's really easy and pretty lazy for people who don't like the idea of California or live in certain places or whatever to like shit on California. But like the fact is like car culture is here. Like there's a reason that like all of us, like I came here for the car culture and the roads, like, and the weather and all that stuff. And like we have the biggest aftermarket producers and consumers of like anywhere in the world here, you know, carb be damned. And you know, it's weird because a lot of people were commenting in the episode like, ooh, California, which makes absolutely no sense.
It doesn't. It's like the 7th largest capitalist economy in the world.
Yeah, it makes absolutely no sense. And it's like super, super neoliberal, like feed the businesses. It's definitely not socialism.
Your headquarters is in the Bay Area, but you're incorporated in Ireland. Sounds good to us.
Yeah. California, huh? Yeah, it doesn't. That kind of criticism is very intellectually lazy. But yeah, like the bureaucratic system is bloated and I don't think it's doing the thing that it was probably designed to do. And someone got me a story on Instagram from the state of Washington where it seems that the state of Washington ended their emissions testing requirements in 2022 because it seemed that with modern vehicle emissions controls combined with the federal push towards EVs, it seemed like the air quality was at a point where the bureaucracy of testing all the cars was not producing the returns compared to the in air quality. The air quality was improving on its own, and again, this probably goes back to systems that began in the 70s with the original CARB and the reduction in smog and all that stuff. But yeah, there it is on the Department of Ecology in the state of Washington. After 38 years. There's the link. Find out why the legislature ended the emissions check program. This fan, whose name is John Bonazza, thank you for sending this to me, gave me a little summary, which I pretty much just summarized to you. Air quality in Washington is much cleaner now than when the program began in 1982. Every community currently meets all federal air quality standards. The combination of the emissions testing program and advances in vehicle technology have led to reduced transportation-related air pollution. We think air quality will continue to improve as newer, cleaner vehicles replace older, less efficient models. Now, I think that's interesting. I don't necessarily think it would translate one-to-one in California.
We have a lot more people here.
A lot more people and a lot more density. And I think possibly cars also last longer here because we don't have rain and snow so much as Washington, or cold. And so cars may last longer in California. But nevertheless, I think that that's an interesting bit of trivia.
Yeah.
That the modernization of cars that really began in the 70s with the creation of CARB has now resulted in a fleet-wide improvement that has eliminated the need, at least somewhere, to test for it at all.
Well, I wonder if, here they don't really do the sniffer test anymore. They pretty much plug into your OBD2 port,
right.
OBD port, and if the car is running correctly based on the parameters that they have programmed in there, they go, it's running clean enough.
Right.
So this seems like the next step from that. I guess it's like you don't even need... I can't tell if it's saying you don't need any emissions testing, you don't even need to plug in, or you just don't need to do the sniffer test.
No, they don't test it at all anymore.
Okay, so they just assume if your vehicle says it's a 2004 Wrangler, that at least it's running cleaner than it was 20 years before that, so it's fine.
There was a study done that showed. The study went back in way back to 2005, and said that by 2022, the air quality was on a trajectory where it wouldn't be needed, and they could allocate those resources elsewhere.
I mean, it kind of makes sense. Like, people are naturally inclined to buy a more efficient car because it's going to be cheaper at the pump. They want the newer thing. And because of the federal regulations on MPG and whatnot, it's all going to head in that direction.
Yeah.
In Washington, I mean, I like that state. This is another example of why, because they go, look, we can just tell that this is working out. Now, it also only has 7.8 million people there.
Sure.
We have 40 million people in
There's
California.
more people in LA County than than their whole state.
So maybe there need to be, a different approach to things, but it just seems like a really prudent, simple thought.
There are counties in California that don't have emissions testing.
Totally.
It's not statewide.
Right.
Like you can live in the middle of fucking nowhere in California and you don't have emissions testing.
Yeah, because they go, look, there's not many people here, and it gets in the way of whatever, and they vote it out. Okay, fine.
All right, folks, got to take a quick break from the action because Factor is here. It's summer. You got to be looking for wholesome and convenient meals for sunny and active days. For me, summer means the busy season. It means we're filming. It means cars are coming in and out of the shop. It means travel. It means I'm running around. And it means I need to focus on eating healthy and eating, period. Because sometimes I actually skip meals, which is really unhealthy because there isn't something easy, healthy, and convenient to eat. So with Factor, it's great. You get the nutritious and ready-to-eat meals delivered straight to your door, and then I keep them in the fridge here at the shop, so when I get back from a long shoot, 6 hours up on the mountain from 6 a.m. to noon, I'm starving, and I need to have food like right now, and I need it to be healthy, and I need it to be tasty, and that's where Factor comes in. I'm too busy to go to the store. I don't want to order some unhealthy takeout food. I certainly don't want to stop at fast food, and that's why Factor is the jam. Their fresh, never frozen meals are ready in just 2 minutes, so all you have to do is heat and enjoy, and then get back to your activities, get back to work, get back to play, get back to your family, what have you. And if you're looking for calorie-conscious options for the summer, try delicious, dietitian-approved Calorie Smart wheat meals with at or around or less 550 calories per serving. If you need an extra boost to support your wellness goals, try the Protein Plus meals with 30 grams of protein or more per serving. Those are the ones I go for. I'm on a protein-heavy diet right now, so all the protein I can shove into my face, that's what I'm going with. They got new upscale surf and turf and surf meal options, roasted garlic filet mignon and shrimp, Cajun spice shrimp and salmon. Yummy. They got keto stuff, vegan stuff, vegetarian stuff, protein stuff, everything for any type of diet you're on. Factor has got it. If you want to budget this month by cutting back on takeout, just go with Factor instead. It's cheaper than takeout, it's faster than takeout, and in many cases, it's better for you as well. Head over to factormeals.com/tire50, factormeals.com/tire50, and use code tire50 to get 50% off your first box. That's code tire50 at factormeals.com/tire50 to get 50% off your first box. And thanks to Factor for sponsoring today's show.
I think what I really liked about what SEMA is doing is there's probably a lot of lobbyists working against them, trying to compel consumers to buy new cars, keep them stock. I'm sure the OEMs don't like the modifications, but SEMA's like what he was telling us, a story of they'll test they'll put the new intake on, they will test it, they will then show the paperwork to CARB and say, look, it's not making things dirtier, or putting EFI on an old Corvette is going to clean it up way more than keeping the carb on there. So it's just using the logic to try to fight back against moneyed interest that might be, or uninformed interests that are pushing things in one direction.
Yeah. There's when you talk to people that aren't into cars, and I assume a lot of the people that work on this legislature aren't actually into cars.
Yeah, most people aren't.
They just go, the standard must be stock. That's how we know. Even if the aftermarket is better, we have no way of knowing that, so it's got to be stock. It's got to be stock. It's got to be stock. It's the only consistency is stock, you know. But I think it's important to fight the fight, not to be able to pollute, but to be able to modify, especially if the result is neutral or even better.
Yeah.
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 I'm not like pro. No cats, you know what I mean?
No, which are dumb for so many reasons. Yeah.
I'm pro aftermarket, and if the science shows that you can modify your car and have a neutral result, like fuck it.
Right. Because I understand the law, it can't address every single case, and if you make little loopholes or little holes, people will blow through it and start rolling coal. But if you can just say, all right, if you can prove to us through this authorized testing, like SEMA Garage, that it's going to be cleaner, then it should be allowed.
Yeah. So that's a cool show. I really do recommend listening to it. The number, it's this whole thing of doing on-demand content, which we've now been doing for a decade and a half, it's really tough, because a lot of times the most important content, the most interesting content, the content that we enjoy making the most, talking to really interesting people, driving really innovative cars, either it doesn't have popularity on its own to drive, clicks. And it's like, well, we need clicks to make money. We need people to click on the show that has the person that you've probably never heard of, because you got to trust us that there's something interesting inside there. If we're going to put something on a show that you've never heard of before, it's going to be interesting.
Yeah.
Like we never introduce the audience to someone they don't know unless we already know that they're interesting.
Yeah, because we've talked about this. We'll have guests pop up in email, or someone will offer something, and you and I will discuss, like, does this interest either of us?
Yeah.
And I know we don't represent all car people, but we represent a group that like us and like what we cover. So if we're putting it on here, it's because we are interested in the subject matter, so you might actually be as well. Like, you'll probably take something away from it.
Yeah. And it's not worth doing this job if you're just going to chase, like, what is going to get the most numbers. It's just not worth doing. I'd rather just fucking park cars. It just doesn't. Someone commented, like, why don't you just interview YouTubers? Like, you'll make more money. And, like, I don't want that to be my job. Like, some of them, like, sure, like, there's some that are really interesting or doing something really cool or have a great story to tell. Like, okay, it's like I'm not anti the whole genre, but it's not like inside the YouTuber's studio over here. You know?
Well, and also like Joe Rogan, what made his show so great and kept me around for a long time was that it wasn't just fighters and comedians. And I love when he would interview comedians because I love Opie and Anthony and all that stuff. But once you hear the same comedian on for the 6th time, and like within 2 years, like, and they're hanging out, it's like, all right, I know what this show's going to be.
Yeah.
And then when he would bring on other people, like that's what made that show so interesting. It's like, you're going to hear from a nuclear physicist. Why? Like, you know, it will be interesting. Trust me.
Yeah.
And so I think that's where we're coming from.
Yeah, it's just a bummer that it works better for Joe than it does for us. Although I don't know if it does.
If he went back in time,
yeah,
he might see dips in views, you know, on those episodes versus when someone really famous is on.
Yeah.
And I bet he got a lot of people commenting like, "Why are you having this scientist on? I want to hear from, you know, fighter number 4 or whatever." There's just populations that are going to like things and not like things. But he developed trust. The audience came to trust him. Yeah. And I bet he brought a lot more people into those other subjects than would normally be exposed to them.
Yeah, maybe. It's weird. Our numbers are so. I mean, first off, other than somebody who's super famous, the numbers are better when it's just us, which I suppose I should take as a compliment, and also as a clue that our job could be easier than it is. We could have the whole show could just be us sitting here, and our average numbers would go up, and we could have no guests.
Never learn anything new.
We'd never learn anything. We could go around the bubble over and over, but like that's not really why I started doing this. So I don't know. People ask how they can help. Listen to an episode that's got someone on it that you've never heard of. Mm-hmm. Try it for like 20 minutes. Mm-hmm. You know, if it's usually going to be pretty good. Every once in a while, it doesn't work out, but it's like usually if it's someone that is sitting in that chair, like we vetted them for having done something that's worth hearing about.
Yeah. And the show with Mike, we didn't just talk about emissions stuff. We also talked about how important like trades and training are to, you know, people in their careers. Like you don't have to go to college. It's something people talk about a lot these days. But instead of going into, you know, student debt, welding, fabrication, like those jobs are needed and those skills are needed. And he talks a lot about the importance of auto shop and how its effect on him. And that's another thing that I think people get a lot out of. And
also 10 minutes on why you shouldn't list your modifications on your Instagram profile and then put your Instagram handle on your car. You want to talk about that crazy AI drone thing?
Sure.
I mean, or not, but like Zach fucking kind of blew my mind. It blew my mind in terms of how little it surprised me, but also it was real crazy. So the military developed a simulation, right? A drone
simulation. The U.S. Air Force, and now the Air Force is denying running the simulation.
Oh, really?
The U.S. colonel backtracks claim about. I mean, yesterday...
Did you just say he made it up, like that story about litter boxes in classrooms?
I guess I haven't read the retraction, but yesterday the story that went around the entire internet was that, you know, this colonel describing a situation where an AI drone went rogue and killed its operator and a control tower, and now they're saying that didn't happen.
I think we have to play a game called U.S. Military or Joe Rogan Podcast.
I mean, I saw it, but it was like Sky News reported it, Guardian reported it. It wasn't just him.
Yeah. All right, never mind. Well, I don't want to share the fake news if it's fake news. Never mind. Double fact checking in real time, kids. We put up a review of the Volvo XC40 Recharge, which is a little electric compact crossover that I really like. Fucking 8 people watched it. Zach did a really good edit. I thought it was I thought I did a really good job writing it.
You did?
And fucking 9 people watched it. And that's unfortunate because I think it's a cool video that covers a lot of ground and talks about a bunch of different things. But you know what happens is when we cut clips to share on social media, as one might expect, you know, nobody actually goes to watch the rest of the video and the context of the video. Because as we learned, looking at our YouTube analytics, about 3% of our traffic actually comes from social media. So like all of the social media efforts and stuff that we do to post these videos results in 3% of the traffic. Almost all of the traffic comes from YouTube itself. Everything okay over there?
I'm just watching.
Your eyes were getting very shifty, like something was wrong.
Well.
Did you steal my saxophone? But this is a great little car. And I really would encourage you to watch the review. Volvo got so many things right on this car. Not perfect, but so many things right. But I posted one clip. When you post clips, as we learned from our social media team, negativity drives engagement. Mm-hmm. So you post a clip of something you're complaining about versus a clip of something that's praising, and it drives engagement. But the flip side of that is it drives engagement, but not the seeking of more knowledge, right? So people will engage and complain and argue and call you an idiot or whatever, or say the thing sucks, but not go seek the context of that.
Right.
You know, a great example would be when I talked about that one car and the misleading PR statements, and the PR people got super, super mad at me without even seeking the context of it.
Right.
So that worked a little too well. I had to dial it back from that. So Volvo does so many things great here. The thing they do the best with this thing is the interior volume, which Volvo always nail their interiors. They do such a great job.
Yeah, it's really nice.
The wool seats,
ooh,
god damn, is that good shit. Fucking shoot that shit into my fucking veins. If that Bentley I was driving right now had wool seats in it,
ooh,
it would actually be better than the leather it has.
It would.
Wouldn't that be sick?
The fabric seats are nice. Like Porsche does the
houndstooth?
No. Well, that is also really nice, but they do the one that's like God, what's the 70s?
Oh, the
pants?
corduroy. Oh,
which
yeah.
is awesome, but
on
I think
the
it would
Heritage
wear out
Edition
more quickly. But I think the
corduroy
wool
was
would hold
sick.
up.
I love the corduroy.
It's really comfortable.
Yeah, the Volvo's wool was so
really
great. Like, I don't know. I got to see if you can get it on the XC60 Recharge. If we can, that would be a high contender to replace the Mach E for the wool interior alone. Like, that shit is so great.
And in an area where we have so much leather in cars, and now we have vegan leather, and now we have a lot of everything has leather now.
I like how when they wanted to eliminate the leather from cars, it never occurred to them to go back to nice cloth. It's like, we need vegan leather. Like, you need cloth, you need wool, you can grow the shit.
But we don't. I mean, I have no idea how well it holds up in 20 years. So that
you never seen a fucking 20-year-old car with a cloth interior? I have.
Wool. I don't know.
Yeah, it's fucking cloth. They make it to car standards. They weave some it's called like smart wool or something like that, and they weave some kind of technical fabric in there for durability. But it goes through the durability cycles.
You can get the wool in XC60 Recharge.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes.
It is awesome.
I will force Hannah into another daily driver. Yes, like I did the Mach E. But you know what drives me batshit about this car? They got rid of the start button.
Oh, yeah.
I fucking hate that.
I saw people commenting on that.
Yeah. It drives me insane that they got rid of the start button. And I think I'm going to write a Road and Track column about this, because there are people, some of whom have $8 blue check marks and put things like FSD beta tester in their Twitter bios, that argued very, very forcefully at me that because they like it without the start button, that is the right thing to do.
Right.
I think the button should stay, and there should be a setting within the car where if you want it to turn on like a Tesla, where you sit down and press the brake and it turns on, and you get out and it turns off, that seems like software that could be programmed.
I don't know. That'd be a question for Mr. Twig.
It probably would, and maybe I'll try and get a quote from him about that.
Yeah, I would
But
ask
like,
him.
To me, there are between this thing, the Lucid, the Teslas, the Rivian, there have been a bunch of times where I've wanted the car to turn on without me sitting in it and putting it in drive, and I've wanted the car to stay on when I've gotten out of it for some reason, and it doesn't do that. Because that's how you turn it on and turn it off. And it drives me insane.
When you get in this car, because I did not drive this one. No, you filmed this by yourself. When you get in this car, can you turn on accessories and all that shit? Like,
Nope.
Does that power up?
You have to sit in the car,
Right.
put your foot on the brake, and then put it in drive, and then park again.
Oh, see, that's worse than the start button.
Yes.
That's very silly.
Yeah, yeah.
Yeah,
That's
there's plenty
dumb.
of times you get in a car to wait for someone, and you turn on the air conditioning, whatever.
Yeah. There's also
now
plenty
you're
of
doing more-
times where you open the door and you want to turn the car on for some reason without getting in it at all, and you reach in and hit the start button.
Mm-hmm.
And like, there's other times where other people may sit in the car while you are getting out to go run an errand, and you want the car to stay on.
Yeah.
And it doesn't, because you press park and go, and now it turns off.
Unless you leave your phone or that card or whatever. Yeah, that's very silly. It causes more problems. At least I'd say in our life. Maybe these folks, I saw some comments from people that had Teslas. They really liked the fact you could just get in the car and drive away.
Right. So if your use case is just you, and you only ever get in the car when you intend to start drive, you only open the door to the car, turn it on when you intend to start driving, and you never hang around the car once it's stopped. Like, remember with the Lucid? Like,
Yeah.
when you'd walk near, you'd be near it, and it would lock, unlock, lock, unlock,
I
lock,
did not
unlock.
like that
It
at
was
all.
insane. And that happened not just while we were filming, but when I went to go tailgate at Pearl Jam, and we were hanging out around the trunk of the car, fucking lock, unlock, off, on, off, on, off, on. It lost its mind. And so it's not that I don't think that people who like that feature should have it. Guys, got to take another quick break from the action for Caldera Lab. This stuff is clutch. You know what the problem is with skincare? It's so heavily female driven that men, especially like manly men, we just don't think about it that often. And then before you know it, you're in your 40s and your skin is tired, it's dry, it's itchy, it's red, it doesn't look great, but there is something you can do about it, and you don't have to be an expert. You don't have to do a lot of research. The Caldera Lab stuff, which they sent me last week, and it is great, it's a full regimen. Right? You don't have to think. It's just easily labeled. It's high-performance men's skincare, clinically proven to reduce wrinkles, fine lines, and signs of aging. Caldera Lab is the leader in men's skincare and is here to save the day. Right? All you got to do is open the regimen bundle. Inside, you'll find the skincare dream team. You got the clean slate, the base layer, and the good. The clean slate, it starts and ends your day. Okay, it's face wash. Leaves all types of skin refreshed and hydrated. Okay, then there's the base layer. That's your daily moisturizer, hydrates your skin, absorbs fast, leaving you with a matte finish so you can start your day. And then the good is your go-to at night before bed multifunctional serum that helps your skin look tighter and smoother and reduces visibility of wrinkles and fine lines. It's full of antioxidants protecting your skin. Right? That's it. They even have this eye serum called the Icon. It addresses the 3 most common skin concerns around the eyes: fine lines, dark circles, and puffiness. Those items in the bundle, in the regimen bundle, are all you need, right? It's clean slate, base layer, the good, plus the Icon. That's it. It's all you need. Whole skincare regimen. Caldera Lab is made with top-tier ingredients. It's a great addition to your daily routine. Takes less than a minute morning and night, and you can reduce your wrinkles, lines, puffiness, and signs of aging. Avoid being the butt of everyone's joke and take the leap to skincare royalty with Caldera Lab. And now you can get 20% off with our code TIRE at calderalab.com. That's 20% off at CALDERALAB.com by using code TIRE. Take your health to the next level in skincare with calderalab.com, code TIRE. Bird Dogs, they have these new stretch khaki shorts, and they are amazing. Summer's here, shorts is here. In California, we've only got 2 seasons, kind of chilly and death hot. And so when it gets to death hot, the jeans go away, the shorts come out, and that's where Bird Dogs come in. They're designed to fit slimmer through the thigh and leg, giving you a sculpted look, but without giving up the fit, right? Lululemon, they do the same thing, but Bird Dogs does it better because they have this cloud knit fabric that looks like khaki, but it stretches, so you get the benefits of the slimmer fit with the look, but you get the movement from those big, boxy, stiff cotton shorts that you're used to. Bird Dogs has an anti-stink and sweat-wicking fabric that keeps you cool and dry all day long. They sent me some of these shorts, and they are great. They're comfortable. They look good. You can wear them in a sort of semi-professional environment, and they keep me dry. They keep me from smelling, and I can wear them while working out too. They're awesome. Super comfortable stuff. Go to birddogs.com/tire and enter promo code TIRE for a free Yeti-style tumbler with your order. That's birddogs.com/tire and then code TIRE also for a free Yeti-style tumbler. You won't want to take off these Bird Dogs. They are great. Back to the action. It's not that I don't think that people who like that feature should have it. Like anything else in a car that's been automated properly has also had a manual override, right? Like think about automatic headlights or automatic high beams. You have off, auto, on.
True.
Or the high beams, you can activate that, deactivate. Automatic rain sensing wipers, you still have a manual option. Automatic transmissions, you can still control the gears yourself, through some other process. Cruise control or radar cruise control.
Or regular.
Or you fucking the pedals. You can still drive yourself. Nothing that's ever been automated has ever had the manual control really fully taken away from you.
Yeah.
And so now this thing, which is a fundamental control, when does the car turn on? When does the car turn off? They've now removed your control over that, and it decides when to turn on and when to turn off. And that's what I find to be fucked up.
That's true. Someone said that the Taycan, which I didn't know this, but they said that the Taycan has a menu option where you can change it from automatic or non-automatic. So
of course
Porsche
fucking
right.
Porsche figured it out.
So either there's a way to do that. Maybe they have it copywritten. I don't know. We need to ask Tui.
Taycans have a power button for sure.
They have a power button, but I think they're saying that you can go in a menu and set it so that it just drives away when you get in. Yeah,
That's
options.
great.
Options are great.
Like giving the driver more control is almost always good. But taking away ultimate control from the driver, automating a system, whether it's fucking turning the car on and off, steering, self-driving cars, like that's why I'm like anti all of that shit, because
I think we're
takes away your options.
I think we're watching the market react to seeing Tesla's popularity. It's like the yoke. It's like there are things that Tesla has done that were very good, and other car companies are copying it, being inspired by it to try to drive up sales. And then there's things they've done that are not smart, but for some reason other car companies look at the sales numbers and go, well, we can't build what they build, but what can we replicate that they've done that maybe this will be the thing? It's like that's not why people are buying the car. Yeah.
Tesla had first mover advantage. That's why people bought those cars. And a good
charging network. Absolutely.
Yeah. And the quality was good enough to get you through a lease.
Good-looking cars, cool technology, first-mover advantage, charging network, blah, blah, blah.
And there are lots of people that don't actually like cars, and they'd rather drive an iPhone than drive a car.
Yeah.
Okay, fine. But I was trying to think about what it was that drives me nuts about this, but it's automating something away, but not leaving the option for me to make the choice.
Right.
Add a feature, but don't take away the thing that lets me control whether that feature is turned on or not.
It's just interesting that you listed a lot of scenarios where we would want the car to be on without being running or without actually moving. And I'm curious how Volvo came to the decision where they go, well, those moments aren't important, or they're less important than this strange convenience. It seems like a weird decision tree.
Yeah.
I don't know. I think it's dumb too.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I think it's really weird that they would have done that. I don't get it, and it's not good.
I bet in 2 years it'll be back. Like I really like Honda did the great thing where Honda for a couple of years they got rid of the volume knob, and the only way you could control the volume is with the weird haptics capacitive slider or the steering wheel button, and everyone hated it. And within 2 years, maybe they put they still had the knobs in a bin and they put them right back, and they're still there. That's smart. They reacted quickly.
Yeah.
So I hope Volvo does that too.
Yeah, it's just I love if Porsche has done what that commenter said and put that feature into the MMI, giving you the option if that's what you like because you had a Tesla and were used to it and you wanted to go back. Fucking great. Have that in there, but don't take it away from the rest of us. Like imagine your car only had rain sensing wipers with no
it'd be terrible.
like no manual control at all.
Yeah.
Be fucking awful.
Yeah. There's plenty of times it senses rain that doesn't exist and vice versa.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
Like I love rain sensing wipers. I love automatic headlights, rain sensing wipers, like I like modern automatic transmissions, but imagine any of those things removed the manual override entirely. Be fucking terrible.
Yeah, because they can't program it perfectly.
Yeah.
And also, some of this stuff is very subjective or personal where I want to use the wipers a little bit more than the sensor does or a little bit less, whatever. People, that's how we feel sometimes.
Yeah. And so I think I'm gonna more eloquently write that into a column for Road and Track. But what other things in a car that have they ever, can you think of anything where they've automated it? I mean, you might have to go back to something like Spark Advance or something. There's probably someone going, they took away the Spark Advance controls.
What are these distributors for? I don't understand.
But there's not a lot that I can think of where they've taken away the manual.
It's like if they got rid of the button where you can deactivate parking sensors, that would be really frustrating because there are parking sensors have helped me and prevented me from hitting things, people, whatever. But sometimes it thinks the ground that I am already on is a new object in front of it. And if I've moved cars for production a lot, sometimes you have to turn that stuff off because it thinks a driveway is a fucking telephone pole. Yeah. So getting rid of that would be a terrible thing. I mean, they haven't.
The lane. Imagine you couldn't turn off the lane keep assist and shit.
Right. Because some cars are really bad at it and they're too aggressive.
Yeah.
They move the wheel when they shouldn't move the wheel.
Yeah.
I mean, you covered a lot of them.
Yeah, I mean, anytime something is automated, there has to be a manual override of some kind.
Yeah, because it's simpler. In my head, it is simpler for a company to give you the option to turn something off or on than to program every situation on Earth. Which, look at not radar, the self-driving car technology. They thought you could program for everything, but you can't. There's too many variables in the world. Yeah. And I think that's even true with rain-sensing wipers and other stuff.
And someone on Twitter used the example of Rivian, which I guess through their app or through that connected bracelet they've got, there's different modes. There's camping mode, boombox mode, where you can keep the power on the car where you're getting in and out of it. But all that sounds like a lot of tech and bullshit to not have a start button. They've made something much, much more complicated where they could have the problem didn't need solving.
What is boombox mode?
Where if you're hanging around the car and using it as a stereo. I might have just made up the term boombox mode, but tailgating mode.
So basically it's accessory on.
Yeah. Right. But it's rather than just have a button, you've got these other menus and it goes through a fucking phone. I don't want...
It's a way to do the same thing, but package it in a new way and sell it in a new way.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But it's it's just piling on tech to replace the most basic shit. I just built a brand new house. You know what I didn't put in there? Fucking smart lighting. You know why? Put in a regular light switch, it'll last 50 years.
Very true.
I don't you open my front door with a fucking key. Proven ass tech doesn't need replacing.
Yeah.
So I don't know. Maybe I'm not a Luddite. And by the way, in many ways, the Luddites have gotten a really bad rap. I recommend reading a book or listening to a podcast about the Luddites because people talk about Luddites like someone who just hates tech, but actually they were fucking right. The bosses were basically trying to put people out of work, which, oh, by the way, is happening again right now, but even faster. Right. And the Luddites were actually right.
No, Amish, maybe they're happier people because they're not looking at phones that sap through all their serotonin.
But I'm not anti-tech. I'm pro useful tech and anti-tech for tech's sake that doesn't actually make shit better.
Ooh, someone anonymity, a dipstick cars that don't have dipsticks anymore.
That's fucking terrible. I love a gauge that shows me how much oil I've got when I'm driving, but that can't be the only.
I just don't like relying on the sensor for something that's that important. And I know that they do a good job, but we know that sensors go out over time. Like, we've replaced them in engines before. Like that, the stuff's important. And with something that's that essential that you could just check with a fucking hole in the engine and a stick is great.
Dude, it took so long to get the oil level right in my Boxster because of that. That was, I mean, you want to talk about a car that is expensive and desirable because its stick shift has cloth door pulls, starts with a key, doesn't weigh anything, has a manual top, a naturally aspirated, and oh, by the way, it takes 6 hours to change the oil and a week to get the oil level right because of that dumbass digital fucking dipstick. Thank you, anonymity. That is a brilliant one. Yeah.
That's a weird system that, I mean, it's Porsches, it sounds like, because Tim said this is what they do.
Yeah.
But it's like you can't just pour in X amount, right? It has to figure, because there's oil still trapped in the cavity somewhere.
Yeah, well, because it's the flat thing. It's a dry sump, and it's, you know, it has to go through some revolutions of the engine. It was a process. You cannot change the oil at home in one of those fucking things. You need equipment. Wow. It stinks. But yeah, I think I'm gonna write a column on that. That's good. Yeah.
I think we just did.
But I think I'm gonna make it better. I'm writing down digital dipstick. That's whatever fan sent me this Parker pen. It's very nice. Thank you. Listen to this. I mean, tell me that's not delightfully satisfying.
It's all metal.
Yeah, metal on metal. Love it.
If people are listening or watching and they like not having a button, please comment why, because we're genuinely curious. Like, not going to throw hate at you. I just want to know.
No, the people who did.
Why?
Yeah, I mean, I'll hear it out. But the people who did like it, they had good reasons for liking it, and I understood those reasons. But their thinking only ever applied to how they use their car.
Well,
and never beyond.
But I'm curious.
Never how someone else might use their car, considering these things are sold to tens of thousands of people.
Well, yeah, but that person commenting could represent tens of thousands of people. But I'm curious, does that person never use their car the way we do, where you turn accessories on and listen to music while you wait for someone? Do you never need the car to be on with the AC on but without the engine running? Like, do they not find it inconvenient to not be able to power on most of their functions without moving the car? So I'm just curious if that never happens to them.
I think a lot of those people use the apps to do that, which maybe because we don't own these press cars, we use the fob and I'm not going to download that Volvo app and make an account for a week with this car. I have I don't even have the phone as a key for my Mach E. They encourage me once a month. Make sure to enable Ford app as a key, phone as a key. And I have fucking fobs on my car because why? They work.
Yeah.
You know.
Didn't we have a problem like 2 years ago up on the hill?
Yes, and then I had another problem where my cat died. When Conrad went into fucking cardiac arrest and I had the Mach E press car and I had phone as a key and the car was locked in the garage with the alarm going off and I couldn't get in the car with my dying cat. And I said, fucking never again. Wow. Fob. Yeah. Conrad literally died in the Mach E press car on the way to the fucking vet.
I'm not laughing at your misfortune. I'm laughing at someone at Ford PR right now just with their eyes really big going, oh.
Yeah. No. That's why I don't use the fucking phone as a key.
Yeah.
Because you never know when your car might not open when you need it to open right goddamn now.
We almost got stuck in Malibu. We were filming and the car wouldn't turn on and we had to get like a separate phone out of the glove box. We had to call the people and, you know, that was interesting.
Yeah. Dude, if you think about the number of times that your phone fucks up in a week and apply that to your car, hell no. I want no part of that.
Yeah.
I can't have my car fuck up on the level my phone fucks up. That's insane. Whatever works every single time, give me that.
Yeah. Fob, key.
I'm not too lazy to press one button to turn my car on and press one button to turn my car off.
It's such an inconvenience.
My pockets aren't too full to carry a fucking fob that has a lock and an unlock button on it. Maybe that makes me fucking a boomer or something. Maybe I'm just old and not cool. I don't know.
I don't know.
Do we have? We could talk about the Grecale if we want.
Because this will go up after that video.
Right?
Yeah.
Should. Maserati Grecale. Compact crossover with a fucking hot rod, bad motherfucker, twin turbo V6, 527 horsepower. This thing was real. You know what really surprises me is how few of these I've seen in Los Angeles.
Yeah.
This seems like the kind of thing that we would see a bunch of. And I got in this car and I was immediately impressed by it right away. It drives really, really great. And it feels like it's put together really well. Platform shares with the Stelvio, Alpha Stelvio,
yep.
But not a lot of Alpha in there. You don't really see it.
No. The interior of this car was much nicer than the last Stelvio I was in.
Yeah.
And
nicer than the Levante as well.
Yeah, definitely. Because this is like all new interior. Levante was a little bit tired. Levante didn't ever really feel like it was worth the money unless you really like driving fast.
It was so expensive.
It was very expensive. It was 140 grand, I think.
I think it was more.
It was
I feel
at the
like
top end of the competition.
Yeah,
really.
like it was as expensive as a Cayenne Turbo S and didn't come with nearly as much stuff.
No, and the interior was just a little bit tired looking. It sounded good and it went fast and it handled well. This does those things also, but it looks really nice inside.
Yeah, and it feels like a much more complete car. It has the right amount of features. It has the right amount of tech. It's built. At least it feels to me that it's built really well. I don't love that it's got like touchscreen climate control. That's not my favorite, but it still was a tight. Nicely appointed. The seats were really, really good. Mm-hmm. The front seats especially were really good. The steering wheel was really good.
I like the shape of the wheel. I like the overall dash design, like the vents that carry all the way across. It just looked really, I don't know, it was really nice, looked expensive, cohesive.
It felt pretty exotic too. I mean, it like a Macan, carries that Porsche DNA really well. It doesn't feel exotic per se, but it feels really high quality and sporty and luxurious. This has a pretty exotic flair to it.
Definitely. I mean, they're commenting on a different car.
Oh.
The only thing, one of the things I didn't love about it, which is a pro or a con depending, is it's slightly bigger than the Macan. It's like, it has class-leading legroom and all this other stuff. It's like, yes, but it is a bigger vehicle. Size-wise, it lands right between Cayenne and Macan. So it's one of those things where it's like, yes, it's the biggest vehicle in its class.
It's a slippery slope.
Is it sliding out of its class? Has it made a new class? Yeah, it's a slippery slope. Because if everyone starts saying, I want my Macan to be as big as the Grecale, is that what it's pronounced right?
Yeah.
Then do we end up in a world where everything keeps growing? Like, I don't want that.
Yeah.
So that's a little bit tough.
I agree, and that is a slippery slope. But for Gen 1, I'm not super bothered. It doesn't drive that much bigger than a Macan.
True.
And I had it when my parents were here visiting, and so me and my dad is 6'5". Me and my mom and my dad and Hannah were driving around, and we were all comfortable. And so, four full-size adults, which in a Macan, you can fit 4 full-size adults in a Macan, but the people in back, they might be a little tight. It's not a ton of rear leg room if the front people are tall.
Yeah.
I don't wish it was bigger. It just is what it is with that vehicle. It's not like a put people in the back all the time kind of vehicle.
True.
Whereas a Cayenne, no problem.
Like if you have a family and you have a tall family, right? Then if your teenage kids are 6'2",
right,
this would be more your speed.
And I think that the LCD gauge cluster and then the LCD touchscreen controls did allow them to allocate resources to other things like the quality of the leather and whatnot. But it sounds really cool.
It does.
It's got a really cool exhaust note, that V6. It does
loud.
sound nice.
It's
loud.
It is 10 times louder than the Bentley GTC Speed we drove today. No joke. As soon as you went around a corner today, I couldn't hear you.
Yeah.
This thing, I took a video specifically of you around many corners far away, and I was like, dude, I can still hear this
It's
thing.
got a carry.
Yeah.
It does have a carry. It does sound, it's got a real rumble to it. And I think it's definitely a contender. Other than the MC20, which is obviously a very niche product, there hasn't been in a very long time a mainstream Maserati where I was like, oh yeah, that thing is great. Like that's never happened before. You couldn't give me a QP or a Ghibli. Those are just like not good products
and unattractive and bad products. Yeah.
Yeah. This is actually I actually enjoyed it a lot. You know, I think, how much was the one we drove? I want to say it was the same as a Macan GTS.
It's like 106.
105, 106, but it was loaded. It was loaded. I think
it was on the more expensive side compared to Jaguar and the X3M.
Yeah. F-Pace SVR is the bargain. The F-Pace SVR is in the 80s.
Yeah.
And it's got like mega hot rod motor, great seats.
What's funny about that one, though, is it has way more power, but it's not actually any faster because it weighs like 800 pounds more than this and the X3M.
Oh, yeah.
So the performance figures, if I remember correctly, if I'm wrong, it's right in the video, but I'm pretty sure it had way more power and torque, but wasn't actually any quicker than the fast ones. This one landed kind of mid-pack. The X3M is the speed demon.
But it's also the stiffest.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
This rode great.
Yeah, this and the Macan GTS, I think, are my two favorite in the Macan GTS. Like, I don't know if anything is going to be better than that in the category. Like, that's just like, there's nothing to complain about with that car. This has almost 100 more horsepower. This is 90 more horsepower than that, and it is quicker in a straight line. Although in the canyons, I think it would be
probably about the same. Yeah, track test or something.
But this was like, the fact that this is in contention with a Macan GTS and X3M is like, go Maserati. You know?
Yeah, I'm really impressed by it.
Yeah.
And MC20, when we went to that launch, this is one of the best looking supercars of the last 20 years.
And it drives great.
It's very fast and the ride's pretty good.
Yeah, it drives great. I'd love an MC20 as a street car.
Yeah, that's what it is.
That would be delightful. And even it's the things about MC20 that aren't great are still like pretty charming. Like just stuff that gives it character, like the power band being totally non-linear and like is
That's
like
fun.
Yeah, it's fine.
I mean, I didn't like the brakes for track use, and they were carbon ceramics, and it was like, are you sure they're carbon ceramics?
Right.
Did someone steal the brakes and put something else on? It was under braked for both what the hardware said it was and for the speed.
Right.
And
but
I also
on the
think
street, it was okay.
It didn't sound to me like anything, but I know other journalists like the way it sounds. To me, it just was like, eh. Even compared to other twin turbo V6s.
It sounds
in the
just
category.
like this.
Yeah. I think it was quieter.
You think it was quieter?
You
think the fact that this was front engine, maybe, and that has a longer, different exhaust, maybe it amplifies.
I remember
it
the drive-bys you did with the MC20, and I was shocked at it. Just didn't sound interesting to me compared to like the 296 is the best sounding V6 twin turbo in my opinion. That's on sale right now, and the MC20 just didn't have as much magic. But whatever, but it looks so good.
Yeah,
it looks so good.
Yeah, you can probably make it loud. I'm sure someone, Akrapovich will they'll handle that.
Yeah.
But that's what's been going on with us for the last week or so. Anything on the old Patreon?
Oh yeah, we got a bunch of stuff.
I'm sure there's a bunch of stuff going on. We got a half hour to play. What do we got? Of course, if you want to get down on the Q&A, ask questions of us or our guests, patreon.com/the Smoking Tire Podcast. And we have that new Champions tier. And if you really want to contribute and also get a extra level of enjoyment, the championship tier is gets you everything you get as a pro driver plus an ad-free experience on our videos. Okay, Chris N says, what has been your favorite car-related present or gift that someone has given you? That's a great question.
That's a good question.
There's been a lot. I mean, I just talked about, Donnie just gave me that book, the Taschen Ferrari book, which is amazing. Everyone should look up the TASCHEN Ferrari book. It comes in a case that looks like a Ferrari engine block with red cylinder heads, and it comes in a giant wooden crate that looks like
was super
That's
cool.
fucking crazy. That's certainly the most extravagant car gift I think I've ever gotten. Someone gave me this tile thing that hangs above my desk in my office. That's the Aston Martin logo in tile mosaic,
cool.
which is very cool.
You've received like trucks worth of stuff.
I've gotten crazy car-related gifts.
Yeah.
Like Vinny's brought me some really weird shit.
The airbrushed art from Pinstripe Chris.
The Pinstripe Chris thing was
really
great.
cool.
The Radwood, the metal Radwood, King of Radwood thing they made me was awesome. Larry Chen has gotten me some amazing artwork. I've gotten so many great car gifts.
Yeah.
There's too fucking many to list, but those are some. Someone just gave me a motorcycle. Someone just gave me a Ducati. like
Motherfucker. Yeah.
if you want to ride it, go ahead. It's fucking my bike is your bike. But like,
I do.
Yeah, someone gave me a Ducati, which I don't know if it's ever gotten crazier than that. That might be the most crazy.
I'm tempted to do the safety course, the motor safety course. Yeah.
Just to why?
Just to have it, since I don't know. Eventually, I want to do like a trail camping type of thing, and I should do a class for it.
Yeah, well,
Have a
maybe you
license.
should do the off-road one.
It's in Pahrump.
Yeah, I mean, it's not like you know how to ride a motorcycle. It's been a while, but
it's
like
been a while. I think we saw what I did with no formal instructions. So
Right.
Maybe I should get a
No,
little
take
bit,
it.
Yeah.
You could do it for free.
Yeah.
They'd happily give it to you for free. They would very much encourage that. But yeah, any of my motorcycles you can ride. But I think that's a great question, and I think we have some good answers there. Has someone given you a very cool car?
I've not
review?
received very many things. So like,
People
the
start
stencil-
sending Zach some shit.
It's whatever. The stenciled art of my M3 was very cool. I like that.
Oh, the
And
blueprint thing?
The blueprint thing.
Yeah,
that was
yeah.
rad. That's just a cool piece of art that you can get a bunch of different cars from. I don't know, like shirts and stuff. But
Yeah.
I just haven't received that many things. If I'm forgetting something,
People start sending Zach stuff. Don't send me.
Armin, you gave me the shift knob. That was rad. I have to install that.
Yeah.
The HP.
Lucas says, I think the market needs a book entitled How to Collect Cars and Not Lose Too Much Money, or Car Collecting for Dummies, and I think you're the man to write it. It's not a book about investing. It's about buying and selling collector cars efficiently and without losing money.
That book would probably sell pretty well.
Yeah, but man, would I hate to be responsible for someone who...
Right.
I don't like to give investing advice. That's...
Yeah, I mean, imagine if you wrote How to Trade Stocks for Dummies. Like, you just need to know. At the first page this is not financial advice. This is your fault, blah, 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 blah.
Yeah.
So, some general guidelines. They're out there.
You could boil it down into one sentence. Just like, buy the thing that you want. Don't make this about money. Buy the thing you want.
Well, they're talking about how to not lose money. So that's hard.
Even a great car investment is a bad investment compared to almost any other traditional money investment.
True, unless you
There's
get
like 4
lucky.
cars in history that have outperformed like the Dow Jones. It's so rare.
McLaren F1.
Yeah, like Ferrari
Blue chip
GTO, McLaren F1, like, Bugatti Atlantic Coupe. I mean, there's so few where if you put that money into the market when those cars were produced, or even when those cars were at their lowest, a Ferrari GTO was like, $70,000 in the 70s.
Mm-hmm.
If you put $70,000 into the Dow at that point, compared,
would it outperform?
Yes, it with very, very rare exception. I mean, I think the GTO might be the exception, but like, if you bought an F40 at any point during the F40's life,
Right.
From 1987 to a year ago, and you put that same money into the market, that would have beaten it.
I mean, if you bought a collector car in January of this year, you've probably lost some money. But if you put that money into NVIDIA, which is up 50%, for the year, and that's the thing is,
well,
you
a specific stock pick. I'm talking about
You're talking about just S&P
I'm talking
stuff.
about S&P or what do you call it? Like just like
Index
traditional index fund, conservative long play investments. there's you could count them on one hand the
very
number
hard
of
to
cars
outperform
that have
that
beaten
stuff,
that.
yeah.
Especially if you then factor in maintenance and insurance and having somewhere to keep it.
And repairs.
Yeah.
You know, even if you PPI something, unless you buy a perfect version.
Yeah.
And even with a perfect version, like you bought a perfect M3.
Yeah.
And it needed a headlight. Now EAG, I think, put a new headlight in it.
It needed a bulb.
It needed a bulb, but like it needed a thing.
Yeah.
And there's always something that's going to need a thing.
Yeah. And and I just sold that car, by the way, and you know, if I had bought the same car 3 years ago or 4 years ago, the story might have been different. But I essentially got out of that car for even money. The number that I sold it for was more than the number that I paid for it. But if you factor in shipping, insurance for a year.
What year did you buy that car?
November of 2021.
I'm sorry.
Why?
I'm
What
silently looking up S&P 500 index for the last 5 years. November of 2021
to today
is down. Like, you know.
Okay. Well,
but
sure.
not,
Okay.
But
Yeah.
But if you had bought that car 6 months before that, you'd have made more money, you know,
Yeah.
buying S&P stuff. Like,
So, but short-term car flipping, unless you're a dealer, is not if you're an individual, if you have to register that car, insure it, you know, put money into upgrading it or tires or anything, that's all your profit. Those guys work on pretty slim margins.
yeah, it can go away pretty quickly.
Yeah.
You have to you got to really know a certain market, and then something that's worked for some of our friends is like buy a car that has bad pictures taken. Mm-hmm. And then, you know, you might have to do a couple things mechanically, but taking good pictures, writing a good ad, like that can make, you know, use some money pretty quickly.
Yeah.
But I don't know, it fluctuates.
Yeah. But in general, if you're talking about long-term car investing, there's really only a handful of cars that have beaten the market, and almost all of them are completely unattainable for regular people.
Right.
Then the people buying those don't need a book. If you need a book on buying a McLaren F1 and that book has the word dummies in it, you need to be taxed more. You need to pay a lot more in taxes.
It means you own the publishing company that made the book.
Yeah.
Okay.
Okay, MR2D2. I said, I recently did 16 hours straight, Atlanta to Amarillo. Yikes. Then back 2 days later in my 05 MR2. Wow, that's like a MR2 Roadster, like the little one.
Yeah.
That's the fucking Elise one.
Yeah, but, you know, props to you for losing your virginity, probably.
Yeah. And then the question is, what's a vehicle either or both of you have had to use for the wrong reason and regretted it? Great question. It's happened twice to me.
Oh, yeah, okay, I know.
I bought a Hummer H1 and had to commute in and out of Manhattan in it.
Yeah.
And that was immediately a terrible idea.
That car's bad for anything except driving to war in the desert.
Right.
Yeah.
It was horrible. It was stupid. And then when I traded it for a Mini, I was still commuting in and out of Manhattan in the Mini, which in theory was a decent car, except it was stick and there's a lot of traffic, and I got the 18-inch wheels. And in New York City, I bent like 3 wheels.
Oh, yeah. I should have like 16s?
16s were the S wheels. John Cooper Works could have gotten 17s or 18s, and I got the 18s, which was dumb as fuck.
I'm keeping my 18s. When I was moving from an apartment to live with you and the rest of the guys in the Playa house, I was driving my green Miata at the time. And I remember you were like, how are you going to move? And I was like, I'm just going to do a bunch of trips in the Miata. And I did one trip. And on the way, I was like, this is the dumbest idea I've ever had. And you said, do you want to use the Raptor? And I was like, can I use the Raptor? And obviously, it saved me hours, if not days. But that was the dumbest decision in the world.
Zach, will you look up the stuff for that question, and I'll go to the next one?
Yes.
Derek says, just got back from the 2,300 mile road, and the roads were all right. What does that mean? 23. What? I don't know what that means. Just got back from a 2,300 mile road. What does that mean?
Probably means road trip.
Road trip. And the roads were just all right
right.
due to bad drivers not using turnouts. How do you get around people safely on 2-lane roads without being a dick, but not wanting to pull over and waiting for a gap to build? Oh, that is the question.
Legally, you don't. Legally, you wait for them to pull over.
If I'm by myself and not in a rush, I'll pull over myself and make a gap. And usually if I do that once or twice, the person in front of me will get the picture.
Oh, like you catch back up to them.
Yeah. If I am leading a group for road and track, I will be a dick. I will flash the fuck out of people in front of me. I'll do it incessantly. I'll dive on that grenade for our paying customers, and they will usually pull over.
What we are saying is that you can be a dick in your lane, but do not be a dick and pass on double yellow.
Yeah.
And do that stuff. Like, you know, communicate to the car in front of you that you would like to go more quickly than they are going.
Yeah.
And most cars will pull over because they go, what's this asshole doing? Fine, fuck you. Go ahead and kill yourself, and then you go on your merry way.
Yeah. Michael wants to know, are we shocked at the pricing of the Faraday Future FF91? I did, full disclosure, they bought an ad with us, which I'm sure a bunch of you saw on our Instagram and Twitter. They paid us to promote their live stream event where they launched their FF91. And yeah, the MSRP is up to $300,000. I don't think that's a great idea. That it seems like that hasn't worked so well for Lucid.
Yeah.
And Lucid is half that price. 180 grand.
And they have cars on the ground that have been delivered. You know, like we've been hearing about Faraday's, impending release of consumer vehicles for I think 12 years.
Yeah.
And, the fact that they haven't delivered anything in this country, and now they want to raise the price seems very ambitious.
When you're talking about that kind of money, a price that's 300.
The Bentley outside, is 300.
They were winning Le Mans in the 20s. You need to have if you're talking about cars that are that expensive, and we could be talking about Rolls-Royce, Ferrari, Cadillac, because they've got this crazy, and even Cadillac's a great example. Even Cadillac. It's like they have a proven track record of building cars. Cars.
Yeah.
I mean, and luxury cars. Yeah. And so if you want people to pony up that kind of cash, you're either betting that there are 300 people, and this is for the limited edition special one. The regular one will be less, but they're betting that. A lot. I mean, the base one is 250 grand.
You're asking people to trust you a lot.
Yeah.
And I think it's a really ambitious way to try to develop that trust. As you said, Lucid has tried to do it, and they are running into headaches, supply chain headaches, sales headaches, etc. The sweeter spot, as I think Rivian proved and Tesla proved, is $100,000, because people that are really rich can throw that away, and for some people in middle upper class, they'll stretch to that, and they might be able to get out of it when they aren't into that car anymore. But $250. Now
they are positioning this thing as kind of like a limo. It's weird. It's weird because in some ways it's a limo. It's got these big reclining rear seats, 27-inch rear passenger screens, but they're also talking about how if you buy this one, you get time at a racing school, high performance driving, and stuff like that, training on the track, but also high speed satellite communications with the purchase. So it's like, if you were buying a limo, would you care about driving that limo on a racetrack? It's a weird thing.
Well, but let's see, the first 91. Wait, is that the first 91 customers or the first owners?
So the $300,000 one is the Futurist Alliance one,
right?
Which comes with different wheels, some different colors, and oh, by the way, those colors are bright silver, matte black. not very creative.
But you get exclusive professional track time training and an Apple Watch, which an owner of that caliber won't care about. But I genuinely can't tell if they're saying
the first 91 of those 300 will get in a high-speed satellite communications suite include. So they're like it looks like they want to be everything to everybody.
Because the car is called the A91. I just want to explain to people that's why I'm confused. Okay, they're trying to be everything.
So I just don't really get it, but okay.
I just think it's I think it's a little ambitious. That's all. To try to, break into new markets with a new brand in a space that is a little bit crowded. There's a lot of EVs on offer from established OEMs and startups. I'm not saying that no one can be a startup and make it work. I wish everybody the best if they're delivering a good product. It's just a lot of money to ask for people from something that's unproven.
Yeah. Mike says, who are some of your bucket list guests you would like to get on?
Oh, Clarkson and those folks, for sure.
That's a good one. I'd like to talk to, let's see. I'd like to talk, who would I like to talk to? Gordon Murray was such a big one, and we actually got him. I'd like to talk to Andy Willman. Who was the executive? He was the Larry David of the Top Gear, basically. And I'd like to talk to Chubba Chetta and David E. Davis and people. Wait, David E. Did he die? I think he might have. The people who were making the magazines I loved when we were younger. David E. Davis died. I think he died.
2011.
Huh?
2011.
Yeah. Yeah, the Valentino Balboni I'd like to have, I think, and that's actually possible. He's friends with Ferretti. I've met him a couple times.
Lewis Hamilton.
Yeah,
absolutely,
sure, definitely Lewis Hamilton.
He's done one podcast in his whole life. So
whose was it?
He just did. It was like an entrepreneur. Yeah. I don't know the guy's name. No disrespect to him. It's a huge show, but that's the one he did.
Yeah. Okay. Josh says, I'm a diehard writing people. Any tips or techniques that I use to keep myself organized within my notebooks? No, my notebooks are just literally lists. They're full, every page, front and back, lists of shit to do.
Do you ever have to go backwards in in your book to like reference things, or is it for you? Is it a to-do list? You cross it off. You almost never look at that page again.
I almost never look at that page again. Okay. And sometimes when I have a list that's a whole page, like this list here, where it's like a whole page top to bottom, and I get to the point where there's like 2 or 3 things on that list that aren't crossed off, I will often start a new list on the next page with those 3 things on top of it.
I do that with a notepad app.
That happens a lot. But handwriting shit to me is very important in terms of remembering it, as opposed to using an app or another kind of memory function. But I love a list, and I love the satisfaction of using the front and back of every single page in a notebook before going to the next notebook. Like, I have enough notebooks that I could just fucking bullshit through them and I'll never run out. But like, I really like finishing one. So I don't have a strategy beyond make list, cross things off. Let's see. Ryan Arbogast. Feeling the inexorable pull of the celebrated Ferrari 355 GTS. I'm well aware of the maintenance horror stories. So what are some of the things I can look for during a search and plan to do after purchase to help make it a more pleasurable, reliable ownership experience? Example would be aftermarket belts to extend time between engine out services. Is that a thing? I don't know that there are aftermarket belts. I don't know enough about there. It is?
Well, I mean, there's companies that produce belts that compete with whoever your OEM supplier was.
There is?
Yeah, there's that for most things. Because some belt companies saw Company A making a belt that was 16.2 inches long, and they went, well, we can make that, and we could sell it for a lower price.
Yeah.
So, yeah. Are they better or not? I have no idea.
I don't know. I mean, dude, you got to get not just a PPI, but like the best PPI. Like I wanted a 355, and I took Donnie with me, and without tools or a lift or anything, he found in a half hour like 15 grand worth of shit. Oof. Like right away, like instantly, and it was stuff that I would never see. Look at the car. Oh, it looks clean. Like. Drove all right, drove fine, but he found shit that I just, And those cars are so expensive to maintain. Even a great one is so expensive to maintain. If there is something on the forums, I don't know about. I'm sure there's plenty of shit on Ferrari chat about ways to lessen the blow of a 350. I know for a fact that not driving it is just as expensive as driving it. Oof. So you might as well just fucking drive it. Which is good because they drive really nice.
They sound so good.
Yeah.
Oof, they're beautiful.
And how to save money on a 355 GTS? Buy a 348 GTS, which is 95% of the experience and probably 3/4 of the price to purchase and probably half the price to maintain. And it doesn't have power steering, which is nice, actually. Anonymity enjoyed the XC40 recharge video. Thank you very much. Please compare with the Mach E. It's a little smaller, but it has pretty similar passenger space. I think the difference in length mostly comes out of the trunk. It's a little shorter. The range is not as good as the Mach E. I loved the small turning radius, it being little. It was very easy to park. I thought the seats were much better. Ford doesn't do great seats. Their seats are only okay. They're fine, they're not uncomfortable, but they're not, Volvo really makes a great seat.
And I think that's the benefit of having a lot, like the meat of their cars and sales are higher dollar vehicles. So that probably trickles down.
Yeah. I thought the interior ergonomics were so good. I don't love the MMI, the Android-based MMI, but it's fine. It's straightforward.
How's the ride compared to
the ride?
Mach E?
The ride's a little better. It rides a little better than the Mach E. The Mach E has a little bit of a unrefined sort of rental car ride. I think the ride is the weak point of my Mach E. It's not horrible. It's fine. Most people wouldn't know, but if you drive everything, like the XC60 with the air suspension, that rode like this Bentley. It rode amazing. And so I would buy the if I was going to replace the Mach E with a Volvo, it wouldn't be an XC40 recharge. It'd be XC60 recharge with air suspension and wool seats. That's the one. And that would probably cost me $8,000 to $10,000 more than the Mach E. It would be in the high 60s or low 70s instead of the middle 50s. So that's more than $8,000 to $10,000. But it would be more. I liked the XC40 a lot, but I'm not still thinking about it the way I'm still thinking about the XC60, which was to me the right balance of size, quality, ergonomics, plus features, hybrid, and that air suspension was great. Really, really nice. And Hannah liked it better too, and that's important. Anonymity says Rivian make a competitive EV truck, but their stock price is down 90%, and they're about to be delisted on NASDAQ. What are your thoughts on the future of auto industries when upstart companies with good products can't continue, but conglomerates with terrible products like VinFast and GM Hummer can? I'm not sure that is VinFast a guarantee. I don't see Rivian as a failure in the way I see, and while also seeing VinFast as some kind of success.
I wouldn't. Yeah, I don't know why you would call VinFast's vehicles a success yet. They've just arrived here.
Yeah.
And the reviews say they perform terribly and lots of technical problems.
Yeah.
The company has clearly been very successful, the parent company, because they've grown a lot and they have a bunch of money, but the vehicles are very unproven.
And I mean GM, like I don't see the Hummer as being. I have literally not seen a single privately owned EV Hummer in Los Angeles yet. This is a product that's been out for like 6 months. I haven't seen one.
True.
Like, granted, my eyes are not data. My eyes are anecdotal, but you got to think, LA, car culture, capital of the fucking world, like not one?
I wonder if...
I see TRXs every fucking day. I see wasteful ass,
That's a good point.
stupid, huge trucks. I see Raptors every day. I see lifted fucking Jeeps, Brodozers, diesels every day. Not one EV Hummer. So I don't see that as being some kind of long-term success yet.
That's interesting. That's a good point. Because we see a lot of six-figure trucks in this city.
Yeah.
But
and also, like, I'm not like a financial analyst. I'm a horrible financial analyst. So I don't know about the relationship between stock price and if a company is going to succeed at building cars.
Right. I don't know either. And something else, I saw this the other day. So this is the performance of a bunch of companies that IPO'd in, I think, the last 6 months or so, and where they're at now. And
recent tweet from Scott Galloway. This is like 2 days old.
2 days ago. So this is Rivian, Airbnb, Coupang, Snowflake, Diddy, Coinbase, DoorDash, like the big hot, sexy companies that IPO'd last year.
Yeah.
And Carvana's on here, but they're also heading towards bankruptcy. But basically, 95% of the companies listed here out of 20 are down about 80 to 90%.
The only one that's over is Mobileye. It's the only one that's over. And the second to that, Palantir, which I don't even really know what Palantir does.
I don't either.
I've heard the name in like tech journals, but I don't really know what it is.
Airbnb is down about 10%.
Yeah.
But basically, a lot of things that IPO'd in the last 6 months are struggling. Rivian is down a huge amount, but they also, if they IPO'd at this, they have I think that means they have a bunch of cash on hand because they sold a bunch of shares and took in a bunch of money. So even if the share price is down, that kind of fucks people that are holding the shares, but not necessarily the company.
Yeah, and like they're obviously building cars.
Right.
Like, unlike the GMC Hummer, I see 30 Rivians a day here. Now, here isn't everywhere, and my eyes aren't data, but like, it's not like people aren't buying these things. It's not like they're not driving them and enjoying them. Like, so, it's not like Lucid where the resale, people who are buying Lucids driving them 1,000 miles and losing $90,000 of resale value on the vehicles. That's not happening either. The trucks themselves are holding their value reasonably well.
Also, first quarter of 2023, Rivian produced about 9,400 vehicles, which is 268% more than that time a year ago. It's slightly lower than Q4, but they made a huge push at the end of the year last year to try to make more. So if their production's up and if they're selling them, like, it seems like that's a good trajectory for right now.
Yeah.
Whether or not they can make it last 5, 10, 50 years, like, that will remain to be seen.
Yeah, and maybe they'll be absorbed by somebody or
And also, the stock prices of, Rivian and Tesla are like just way higher than any other OEM out there. Like, most of the big three and regular companies are like, I don't know, 10, 20,
well, stock
$40.
price.
Like,
Tesla has proven that the stock price is based on vibes,
right?
And in many cases, in total bullshit. I mean, it was based on the confidence coming out of the company that they would solve automation, which a lot of very smart people, I like to put myself in that category, said from the very beginning was total fucking horseshit, which it is, and it remains to be. So the company that IPO might have been a wild overvaluation.
Right.
And the fact that it's settled in reality isn't necessarily bad for anyone except the people who bought in at the fucking high, overvalued, stupid price.
Right.
Yeah.
100%.
Still building cars, still selling cars. That's what's important.
That's their job. Like, that's what they're trying to do.
Yeah. Right. Alejandro says, should I buy a well-sorted E39 M5, a lower mileage E60 M5 manual, or an E92 M3 manual? I own an SMG E60, but I sold it and now I miss it. Of those three, I'd like to have the the E39 M5. That would be my favorite.
Yeah.
That's just my choice in terms of which one I would like to own.
I agree, because I think that gives you the size that you missed from the M5, but it gives you some V8 magic, and it's a different flavor. If you go back, if you miss your E60 and then you just get an E60 with a manual, I don't know, in my opinion, you're buying the same car with a different transmission. I would do something different, and I think the E39 will probably hold value slightly better than the E92.
Yeah. Brandon wants to know about the rear seat room in a last-gen BMW 440. I don't know, bro. I never sat back there.
That is a Google question.
No clue. Dante says, I want to buy one more new internal combustion vehicle before I go EV. Other than the Giulia Quadrifoglio and BMW M550i, what is a great and semi-rare mid-size sedan with over 400 horsepower, under 90K, located in San Francisco? CT4 Blackwing manual.
Yep.
Can't beat it.
Yeah.
Or buy the nicest, cleanest from EAG E90 M3 sedan manual.
Yeah.
Great looking car. Timeless design.
Enough power. Sounds great.
I mean, 90K will get you a great CTSV manual as well. Like a 2012. Might even get you a wagon.
Ooh, that would be rare.
Those would be great and semi-rare.
Would be rare for sure.
CT4 Blackwing, CTSV wagon, E92 M3.
Really nice E90.
Yeah, a sedan, possibly with a VF supercharger.
Yeah, I think you can put that on for 20. I mean, you could find one with it installed for under 90. I mean,
we just did one.
Oh, that's true.
We just had one done. The blower, the California 91 octane blower, was $9,000, and then it was $4,400 for Avis Autosport to do the install.
Okay, so like 12 to 15 grand, you can have a supercharged E90, which I did a video on one. You can go watch it. That car was awesome.
Yeah, and for 90 grand, you're buying a great one.
Yeah.
David says, what is the worst car you could import that would still win all of the attention at a car show? Okay, so we're a terrible imported vehicle that would still get
attention.
Yeah. There's probably a bunch of them. Like,
didn't you say the Lancia Stratos is terrible to drive?
It's not terrible. It's just clearly designed for a purpose, and that purpose is very targeted. It's a rally car, so it's got a really short wheelbase, and it's very the handling is very twitchy. It's the same. It was a very similar experience to driving Zuckerman's Audi Sport Quattro short wheelbase, where like the littlest bits of it fucking was like, whoa, like it feels like if you wanted to back it into a corner, it's set up perfectly for that. If you want to like just drive it around or hit the canyons, it's like wonky as hell.
I think my answer would be a TVR. Like a Sagaris, everyone's gonna go, oh my god, and then you have to drive it or hope it works.
There's that dude who lives in this area who has like 3 TVRs.
Those are called parts cars.
No, I saw him driving them. He's got a Tuscan.
Have you ever seen him driving?
He's got
all at the same time?
I think a Cerbera, and I think he might have a Sagaris also.
Wow, they're cool.
Yeah, they're fucking crazy.
Real cool.
Yeah,
but I've heard they are terrible.
Yeah, they're both. They're definitely both. That's actually probably true. Yeah, TVR is a great one. Adam Dolan. Oh, shout out to my appearance on Apex Adjacent. Yeah, if you go check out their podcast, I was on it. I went 6 for 6 on their license plate game. I guessed all 6.
Recognizing the cars based on the plate, right?
They have a game where you match the vanity plate with the car it's on, and I was 6 for 6.
Oh, damn. I think I was like 50-50.
Yeah. No, I'm never surprised by anybody. Everybody turns out to be exactly who I think they're going to be. Watch question from Chappie. For my 50th birthday, I was going to consolidate upward 2 nice pieces into one really nice one. But the more I think about it, a watch that expensive is just not me. That is a question that I fight with all the time. How do you think about value or one watch versus overall? So consolidating upward is good. If you have more of anything than you can reasonably use, like watches or cars or anything, you could consolidate that value into one, nicer piece. At a certain point, though, you do hit that wall where, especially with watches, like let's say you've got, let's just for argument's sake, say two $10,000 or $15,000 watches, which, yes, I know these are very, very expensive watches, but just argument's sake. And you want to sell them and then throw in some more money and buy your, what they call your Grail watch, which is like maybe $40,000 or $50,000. And that seems like maybe a good idea, but then you go, I do not feel comfortable walking around with a $40,000 or $50,000 watch. And I totally understand. I have thought about upward consolidation a few times and getting some very, very expensive or a very, very expensive watch. And then I think about, but would I wear that to work? Would I wear that to shoots? Would I wear that while walking around the city or Venice Beach? Would I feel comfortable wearing something that expensive in front of my customers, et cetera, et cetera? And then I've not done it. So I think if you can understand that a very expensive watch is not necessarily what you really want, that's good. That's okay. Two watches isn't too many. You can wear two watches, but if you're bored of one and you're not wearing it so much, you might trade it out for something of equal value or slightly better value. You don't have to do an upward consolidation if the thing you're consolidating into is so expensive that you then won't wear it. I sold one very expensive watch to buy another very expensive watch, thinking that the new one, even though it was also very expensive, because it was a Rolex and not an AP, that I would wear it a lot more. Well, it turns out that because it's yellow gold and it's flashier and the material is softer than the steel AP, I don't actually wear it more. I wear it the same. And so that was an attempt at a lateral move that kind of failed. And I think I have an upper limit for what I'm willing to wear every day and still feel comfortable and not like I'm being a little too flash. Other people don't feel like that. But it's a good question. And Chappie, if you feel that way, do not consolidate upward. Maybe move laterally. Okay, Luke says, do you think the release of the T50 will have any impact on F1 values since the F1 became so valued due to the lack of anything similar? Will this similar vehicle take away demand for the F1? No, I think people are... The F1 is already where it's at. It's already... There's
only 100 of
It's
them.
64 road cars, and the rest are race cars. It's established. It's not... Those cars aren't going down. They're going down if... the socialists win and they start eating the rich. But no, people who have F1s are also buying T50s. It's not, they're not, Gordon, all respect to Gordon Murray, these are separate products. The ethos is the same, but
I think it would probably slow the F1's ascension because now there is another car available that has a V12 with 3 seats with a center seat. Because for a while, you could literally only get that kind of flavor from the F1.
Yeah.
So.
Yeah. Tim A. selling his GTI and getting into a Lexus LS. Any tips for LS ownership from your experience? Anything to enhance quality of life or maximize lifespan of the car? Don't cheap out on the service. Like, it's a very durable car, but do the service with the factory parts and the factory fluid. My million-mile Lexus, anytime I replaced like an AutoZone grade part for a factory part, it was a little more expensive, but I never had a problem again.
What was the thing with the power steering fluid?
The power steering, the power steering pump, I think, and please look this up before doing anything with your car, but if I remember correctly, the power steering pump, I think, ran on ATF. Automatic transmission fluid, and not on power steering fluid.
Yeah.
And if you used power steering fluid, it would rot the seals and it would leak directly down onto the alternator and it would kill the car. So, like, it's kind of counterintuitive. Like if you weren't thinking about it, like, oh, power steering. Like you wouldn't think to put ATF in the power steering fluid, but that's what you had to do. And so like when people switched, for instance, from, what's the word for oil that's not synthetic? Just regular oil, traditional fucking oil.
I don't
Dino juice.
Crude.
Yeah, like you don't want to switch to synthetic oil. You want to use the original factory non-synthetic oil.
And now we should say he didn't say what year LS he has. So look this up in the forums to see if this problem still persists in your specific model year, because maybe it was fixed, maybe they changed the seals or something. But that was I remember that was a problem with your car.
Yeah. So yeah, but I mean, whatever the factory recommended service parts and fluids are, use those. Don't use cheaper ones, and don't put any fluid in that car until you know what the right fluid is to use. Yeah. Christian, okay. Commercial real estate question from Christian. Are you aware of the reported debt bubble in U.S. commercial real estate? According to Slate, LA's office towers alone are seeing $230 in debt per square foot due to poor purchase decisions and changes in work from home policies. Will this affect the car storage industry as well? No, I don't believe so. The thing about commercial real estate is the word commercial is real fucking big. You got offices, you got stores, you got restaurants, you got parking garages, you've got all kinds of shit. And offices obviously are empty. Drive all over this city or any major city, and I have been in many major cities in the last 2 years, and you see for rent signs on every office building. They're all fucking empty, especially brand new ones. Ones where like the office, they didn't keep up their lease through the pandemic. They got built in 2020 or 2021, and now they're trying to get that one right here.
Yeah.
The beautiful building, brand new, right here, dead as rocks. Does that affect car storage? Not to me. Cars didn't go anywhere during the pandemic. In fact, people bought more of them. People still, although some people left cities and went to the suburbs, in general, like people still live in Los Angeles. I couldn't tell you about other cities besides the one I live in, but we're full here, and so what's happening with office buildings and what's happening with my business are not related. Whether you work from home or work in an office does not affect if you have a sports car that you can't keep at your place, unless you moved to the middle of nowhere and built a barn. And a few people did. I lost a couple people who moved to other places, but we filled it back up. But that sucks, but it's not related to us. All right. Let's go. Let's say two more, and then we'll save the rest. Yeah, we got I don't want to get to all those. My brain is turning off very rapidly. Sorry. We'll save. We will not throw the questions away. We will save them for the next cruise show. We get this one a lot. What car would you be interested in getting the Singer treatment? Donor car has to be reasonably priced. I think what the question implies is a resto mod treatment. The Singer treatment is highly specific. Singer cars are highlight reels from the 30-year range of the air-cooled 911. It's sort of like a bunch of
So it's rare that you can meld generations like that. And it's because the 911 shape has been consistent in a way.
Yeah.
It'd be cool if someone did Ferrari 355s and made them work well and reduce that re-engineer the parts that can be, and maybe that they would run better and they'd still look good and go really fast. But
yeah, I mean, I think 80s Range Rovers, 80s Range Rovers would be awesome. Opportunities there. Their customer base is used to spending lots of money. They're already fucking hoity-toity kind of things, and I think it would be neat. That's what I would do. Or like a Rolls Corniche, which is not a $2 million Ferrari F40, but it's like they're like 65, 70 grand for a Corniche. That'd be cool.
That'd be cool. I don't know. I don't have an answer.
Okay. Well, that next one is more of a statement, not really a question. Thomas Hall said, when does an e-bike stop being a bike and need to be licensed as a moped or scooter? For me, it's when there's a twist throttle. Curious to get your opinions. It's a fine line, right? I think once it has components that are not bicycle level components, right? Like if it looks like a bicycle with a traditional sort of bike frame and bike size wheels, bike size brakes.
But so. Did you ever ride one of those mopeds that you had to like pedal to get going, and then it had a gas engine?
Yeah.
So those wheels and tires were smaller than modern mountain bike tires.
Sure. So is my Vespa.
Right. So I think we are in a weird place where you can get an e-bike with a twist throttle. It's not pedal assist. It's like
my e-bike has a throttle.
Yeah. I mean, it's just. I think we are in this murky area where there may need to be new licensing or something. But it all depends on if people crash into pedestrians or are they crashing a lot. Like, what incentive do governments have right now to try to, quote, crack down or license or restrict, or regulate these in some way? I don't know. Like right now, it's a name game. So who cares if it's e-bike versus moped?
Right. Well, selfishly, I don't want my e-bike to be legislated into a motorcycle. I don't care because I have a motorcycle license, but I like being able to ride the e-bike on bike paths as opposed to with cars.
But I do think, I like going fast. It's fun, et cetera, but I don't think we've ever been in a position where a bike path had bikes that were going 30 to 50 miles per hour on it because people just can't pedal that fast.
Well, my self-preservation, my e-bike goes fast as fuck. Mm-hmm. But if I'm on the bike path, it is such a wild mismatch between the size of the path and the ability to go that fast. So if I tried to go over 25 on the bike path, which again is still pretty fast, it would be sketchy as hell. Like you can't really do it. Whereas when I'm on the road with cars, I can and do regularly go about 30, 35. Mm-hmm. And I actually feel safer doing that because I don't have cars flying by me from behind. I'm at least going the same speed as them some of the time. I think, and there is a point, like if I forget who I was talking to who makes e-bikes, who they built one that went like 60, and they were like, this is really dangerous. Like it's not even fun. Mm-hmm. It's just super unstable and sketchy. So like there is sort of a natural limit to the mountain bike frame, and that design before you have to make it more like a motorcycle.
Right, because going 50 miles per hour on
a bicycle
with those tires is
so
really,
shady.
Really fast. Yeah. I just think that there needs to be incentive for regulation, and that usually doesn't happen until there's lots of problems.
Right, true. I agree. All right, that's our show. You're going to listen to this while I'm on the road and track Smoky 600. And, of course, we've got other content that's going to be flowing, and I will be back in the studio after this. We've got podcasts, we've got guests, we've got videos to make, we've got a Corvette to give away. Yeah. It's a whole big thing. Thank you to our patrons for asking their questions and supporting the show, and I hope you all have a great, safe summer week. We'll see you when I get back. Bye.